This is a character design exercise in which I am improvising both the role of the interviewer and the role of the creature being interviewed. Characters with the most likes and views will be animated and made into a lo-fi album. What is your name? My name is Saraphina. I am a being of the ferns, and I have raven black hair, and very pale skin, like the moon. I am a she who is a witch. I transform into a raven. What is your preoccupation as a witch? What is your tasks, your goals? What are your interests? What are your pursuits? What are my pursuits? My pursuits are namely transportation and teleportation and flight and various ways of expediting any distance through various means that are appropriate for the material that needs to be moved. The realm of the she isn't necessarily our development, and the way things change over time is a bit different than the human realm. Our sense of futurism, futuristic, and just some progress in general is mainly revolves around how our psychic power can influence and adapt the mediums that we are working with. So, if humans use technology and the various materials of technology, so metal, plastic, glass, and they use it to, first and foremost, is entertainment and communication. They're using that progress, that development within that sphere to support everything else. So realms of transportation are augmented by communication and these materials. So when we're looking at progress in the realm of the she, we're seeing that we're using our psychic abilities, our concentration, which in many ways is quite opposite from the developments in the human realm. It is not mercurial in the same way that the communication based strategy is very fast moving and changes rapidly. Mind changes rapidly. In the land of the she, our aims are to become more one pointed in order to increase our capacities for work and for progress. We are becoming, in fact, spiritually developed as we develop our various technologies, because concentration is very wholesome, very stabilizing, and the mind becomes happy. And so our work promotes happiness because we have chosen a technology that amplifies happiness, peacefulness, stability. So we are bound by our creativity. If we were to decide, say, to approach transportation, our minds need to find ways that transportation is possible. Also, keep in mind this is an easier plane, a plane in which the beings, yes, they may more likely, the probability that they are more mentally developed in a psychic capacity has resulted in a rebirth in this realm. It's also that this realm itself, its materiality is finer and more easy to work with. So transfiguring into an animal is far easier in this realm than in yours. And the mental capacity to be able to do that in your realm would have to be monumentally stronger. So this effort is indeed far more abbreviated in our realm, and so it makes sense that this has been the path of least resistance for us to change and improve our quality of living. So, yes, transforming into an animal that would be able to cover land faster or fly, whatever needs to be transported. There is also transforming the object into a different form in order for it to be transported easier. There is also teleporting the object, which is more advanced, riskier, but it is more immediate. So, this is part of the risk assessment and decision making of this line of work. There is also a term we use, which is hallucination, which has a stronger meaning in the human realm. It just means projecting the image. So it's has a stronger correlation. The meaning has adapted more to a hologram. You can send a hologram. You can send a smaller piece of it or a smaller version of the object or some sort of piece of the object, a trinket, something that would have the memory of the hallucination, a hallucinatory memory embedded in its. And so you send that. Usually that is sent through teleportation. It is a lot less risky to send these tokens. And then the receiver is able to see the object, time, dimensions, and such. And they can sort of manipulate it and change it or place it in different areas. For example, we had a piano that we had to transport, and we sent the bench first through teleportation, and we sent it to the person who purchased the piano. And by taking the bench and placing it in different locations in their house, they could project the rest of the piano through mentally linking to this object, and they could see what it looked like with the piano in place. And they could sort of assess whether or not they even wanted it. No problem in reassessing the purchase. That's fine. Of course, if the bench is damaged, then there is penalty, but all very practical and such. Do you have any other ways that you teleport objects? Yes. So say we need to transport a cat or a pet. We have to do this safely and low risk. Teleportation is the highest risk, and transfiguration is mildly low risk. There's always possibility of injury, injuries being aspects that never recover. If someone like myself transforms into a raven, there's always a possibility that some aspect of myself doesn't return properly. Maybe my hair turns into feathers, something like that. Something atomic doesn't recover. But accidents like that have a tendency to recover slowly over time. The form bounces back to its original state, and there's sort of a gravity to that original state. Maybe the cascade down the mountain of transformation gets stuck on a ledge. It's far more easy for the flow to continue down the mountain into the valley that is the natural form of that being in this lifetime. When we transport an animal, there's the option of giving that animal wings. We can also place them into some sort of charmed container that has wings. or even legs that are very fast, we can put all sorts of charms onto a container to expedite the cargo's passage. Maybe we can also fins. I wanted to add fins, some any sort of swimming capacity. There is also the option of speaking to a wild animal or a semi-domesticated animal and ask if they would be willing to transport the objects. So in this case, animals in the realm of the Shi and in the realm of Fae are far more expressive, responsible, intelligent. They can accept a responsibility and they can carry out that responsibility. There is an element of risk here because animals have varying capacities and self control and ability to take on these responsibilities. We often use a friendly bear. He's able to take on a heavy load and bring it to the nearby town for market. If no one is able to, none of the elven shis are able to bring it to town through other means, and there's a certain distraction that maybe these transporters are obligated to, then it's nice to have a friend of the forest to take it dependably to town. But we tend to lean away from pets or food being transported by the bear just because we don't want conflicts with other animals. They could get in a fight on the way there. The other thing is, yeah, if you send him off with some beef jerky and some honey, he might eat it. We do love this bear. He's very friendly. He's a very wonderful being. But we don't want any problems, so we don't test him, you know. So far, the ways that we work are teleportation, transfiguration, animal speak, animal telepathy. We have conversations with the animals. They're speaking, you know. And then the last thing is levitation. And levitation's actually the least dangerous because nothing about the form of the body or the object is being changed. It's the it's the matter around the person, the air, the gravitational interference. These are the things that are being changed and controlled for. And so when we're working with levitation, the problems arise more from lapses in concentration that would cause a person or a thing or a being to fall. Which, I mean, that is sort of what happens with any accident in transportation is the lapse in concentration. It's more certain that the atoms of the being will be as similar as possible, generally unchanged from the moment of departure to the moment of arrival. The only thing being the damage of any interference, such as a fall. So we tend to use levitation at a 6-foot height maximum, unless it's for some emergency. But we will send a being through levitation or an object very quickly down a causeway or a road, a highway, anything like that. And if they fall, they're only falling 6 feet, but they are going far faster. They can reach extraordinary speeds, in fact. And if they do experience extraordinary speeds, if we plan to send them at high speeds, we do outfit them with protective gear. If we have to send them very high into the air, we'll outfit them with a parachute or even various charms that replicate the effects of a parachute. Again, these are all risk assessments. There's a creative component to the job of, mixing and matching some of these means in different proportion and coming up with unique ways of solving these problems. But the main faculty that I feel like I am using is risk assessment, insight, wisdom, observing how things will multiply into the future um, over the span of time that this project is activated. That's what the job looks like. How many people are working with you? Oh, there's three witches here, including me. We all have different animals that we prefer to shift into. My friend here shifts into a lion, and then the other is a ram. And then I bring the parcel if for long distance items. I can't really do really heavy items because flight is just, it's pretty taxing to carry. So I want to know more about your appearance because I'm going to draw you. I want to know what you're wearing and how you do your hair and the like building, the house that you live and work out of. Oh yes, okay. So I wear a slate gray dress that goes to my wrists and to my ankles. Um, just it's just a simple dress that buttons in the front with cloth covered buttons of the same fabric, and it slightly gathers around the waist. The bodice is undetailed, just plain, save for the buttons. And then there's buttons at the end of the sleeves. There's no collar. I have bright blue eyes, blue gray. My associates here, the lion, she is blonde. She has a brown dress on that has this interesting detail. It's so if my dress is more A-line, hers is um, a bit more, it goes straight down, but then there's sort of this ruffle at the waist that's maybe like a 12-inch piece of fabric that is ruffled around. It's still easy to move in. It's not a pencil skirt, but it's just like there's more emphasis on this detail. My associate who transforms into a sheep, she has white hair. She is an older woman. She wears a light gray wool dress. She has pearls around her wrist, her bracelets on both sides of her, on both hands, both arms. Um, Pearl details on her dress, and a brooch, and a tiara. She is our mentor. She has slippers, soft wool slippers that are a bit darker than her dress. And the building is full of dark rainforest plants, and the the wood that the house is made out of is dark, and it's a circular house, or it's octagonal, and it has rooms that go around perimeter, and then there's a staircase that goes up to the second floor, which is a storage space for different materials that are needed. We also use it for parcels to be transported. There are sort of like sections for different things. Then we have, above that, we have our map room. And the map room, that's where we sort of make plans to send over different bodies of water, different land. This is where we will receive different birds for correspondence. There's a pigeon coop, sort of a lobe off to the side of the main room. Yeah, that's what the building looks like. There's gray shingling, raw gray shingling on the outside, and it's also the same dark wood that is, it's almost like there's like a lot of black detailing, a lot of charcoal and charcoal color. It's all the same sort of range of color. And we're surrounded by pines, very tall pines, and the house reaches just over the top of them. We're kind of on this like slightly rocky hill. We're at the top of the hill and we're looking out over the pines. At least the map room is looking out over the pines. That's what it looks like.